All right, I think we're live, right? Better than last time. If everything's working right, we should be on time. If you guys could just let me know, just one person, let me know if you can see it. So, Saturday night, here we go. It looks like I see 16 people viewing right now, so I don't know if the chat room is working or whatever, but happy Saturday, everybody. I guess we're my second one of these. I'm going to try to do better than the first one, but oh, there it is. So if you're in the chat room, can you say hello? Let me know you're there. There's Dave. And what's up, Matt? How you doing? 17 people watching. I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat. Celeste, hello. Hi, hi. I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat what made me decide to do this tonight. At first, I was thinking about trying to do these maybe once a week. And then I started watching all these other YouTubers, and it's really random. They don't know, I don't even, I don't know that I could call myself a YouTuber. It's weird. And I'm going to get into a lot of that tonight. Hello, Janet. But like Joe Rogan, I don't know what his pattern is. They just come up whenever they come up. There's all kinds of guys that just it shows up when it shows up. So I have a Saturday night off. It's probably the only one I'll have the entire year, and I thought it'd be interesting to see what everyone else is doing on a January Saturday night. If you're not out seeing a band play or doing whatever you do on a Saturday night, it's so foreign to me to even think there's something to do other than having a gig. So, so here we are. And again, I keep looking down at the screen. I wish there was a way I didn't have to look down. But no, Julie's on and Susan's on. Everybody's on. That's awesome. That shows how exciting we all are. Uh, these days and age, the party animals that all of us are. But I'm going to tell you this. This is what I wanted to come on and what inspired me to talk about tonight was that with this weekend off, I went down to the candle shop early this morning, and I was only going to be there for a few minutes. I had a short amount of things I wanted to pour and do, and I ended up being there till 5 or 6 o'clock tonight, as usual. Janet will love everything that she's going to come into Monday, but and so I was hungry and ready to eat, and I went to Taco Bell, which is the most unhealthy thing in the entire world. But I love my Mexican food. Everybody knows that, and I love Taco Bell. And that was going to be dinner tonight. So, um, where to go from this? So, the Taco Bell here in town, I don't know about your guys' Taco Bell, but the Taco Bell in Manassas, both of them, have completely automated drive-throughs now. I don't know if you would actually call that AI, but tonight it felt like it was AI. They've upgraded it, and after it got my order, it actually said, I can't eat anything, but I hear that the fries are good. Taco Bell has some kind of French fry thing. I forget what they call them, but nacho fries or whatever. But the actual machine said, even though I can't eat, I recommend the nacho fries. I hear they're good. But to the point is, um, I get mad. I don't know if the word's mad. I get frustrated sometimes when I'm giving an order at a drive-through, and it's 9 times out of 10 it's wrong. I don't know if it's the machine can't or not the machine. The people can't hear me. I don't. I sometimes I think it's the way I talk because I have problems a lot of times with Siri talking to Siri and it never understands what I'm trying to say. So sometimes I think it's me, but it's always wrong. And even if it's not wrong, I end up having to communicate. No, I didn't say this. I said this. For some reason, all my life, when I say no mayonnaise, they think I say no tomato. It's happened my entire life, so I don't know why that is. But regardless, this Taco Bell I've been to about 15 times since they've put this AI thing taking your order in, and every single time it's flawless. It's perfect. The thing hears exactly what I say. The order is exactly right. if I have to order something that says no, I would like a regular crunchy taco with sour cream, then I have to get in this argument at Taco Bell with, do you mean you want a Supreme? And the answer is no, I don't want a Supreme. I want just a regular taco. Not that I want the sour cream. We all know that I don't want the sour cream. I'm giving you an example. And then you have to argue with this person. Well, this thing doesn't ask you any questions. It gets the order exactly right every time I've ever done it. In fact, I'd stopped going to Taco Bell a lot, and then when I went to this one, and it had it. Then I got fascinated, and I went like 3 days in a row just because I was fascinated. But so I guess for topic of communication or just conversation with everyone, I'm curious what everyone thinks of that. Has anyone run into that at all? Has anyone run into? And do you consider that AI is AI? Uh, is that just a computer taking an order, or do you consider that part of the AI revolution? And have you guys run into that at all? What do you guys think about the experience? I guess Jessica Brady is saying hilarious having. Oh, so Jessica, you guys went to the Taco Bell that does that, right? And did it get the order correct? It's amazing, right? So is that the future? Because I hate, you guys know that, especially I've said this about Shining Soul lots and lots of times, is I hate the idea of replacing jobs with machines. But and that's what's amazing to me. This particular incident freaked me out because I was excited for the machine as opposed to the human interaction. So we don't have that in Maine, Mara. No, I have not had the privilege. I still haven't seen what Jessica says because Jessica, I know, went to that Taco Bell that I was at today. So even though Jessica's from up in the north, she was in town. I wish our Taco Bell had that too. Mine always gets it wrong. So what I'm reading here is that I'm glad I'm not the only person in my age group that is eating Taco Bell. What's up, Amy? You stopped taking down your Christmas tree. My Christmas tree stays up till Valentine's Day. That's my new rule around here for the last couple of years. We did. The order was correct. We don't have that up here. It's awesome. So so there's this other guy that does YouTube that I've been watching him a lot. He's kind of a fearmonger news guy. All he does is rehash the news in the most negative way he can. But he does this thing that where he asks you to put simple things in the comments so I can tell easily what the answer is. So I would ask all of you guys that are watching, which is 40 people right now, put a 1 if you consider that AI, or 2 if you just consider that technology. And then I had all kinds of other things that I was going to talk about. All kinds of things came to mind. I know that Dave had brought up. I stopped getting takeout drive-through. Yeah, because they never get it right, and it's gotten worse since. It's gotten worse. Everything's gotten worse. Customer service since COVID has gotten worse, and that's something we can all talk about. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how one day it was one thing and another day it was another. But across the board, in any realm you're working in, anything you're doing, since COVID, the customer service world has just fallen apart. And I'm sure you guys have all experienced that too. So Angela Lumen. So my Taco Bell in Lake Ridge has it, but it always gets it wrong. Angela, does it really? I've not. I've done this 15 times now, and I have not experienced wrong yet. So interesting. Oh, Ben's on. What's up? The Dorito taco that rocks. I hear you. I hear you. So my buddy Dave in Canada had talked about one of the things to talk about tonight would be Van Halen, but I think he had wanted to speak about it only if I had read the Alex's book. I have Alex's book. My friend Stephanie got it for me, signed by Alex when he did the small tour in New York. Um, I I I haven't read it yet, which is really weird, being the Van Halen fan I am and the fanatic that I am. Um, and I hear that it'll make you cry. Uh, I'm so incredibly disappointed that the news came out that the book stops in 1984, and he doesn't even acknowledge Sammy Hagar, and then he goes on to say something in the book promo about how he's disappointed that Hagar, or not, he's disappointed that he feels like the essence of Van Halen ended when Roth left. Um, what hurt me or bummed me out personally so bad, and who am I, it doesn't matter, was you can go back and watch a video. You can type on YouTube right now. You can leave this stream and go and type Hagar joins Van Halen, and there's multiple videos where Alex is just saying the band is better now, and you can see it's real joy. He's happy, and we can do things we never wanted to do, everyone, and we could never do before with Dave, and all this love and joy. And I was there during the 5150 tour. Uh, I went to that show, and I was young and I was wide eyed and I was soaking it all in, and you could feel the energy, and they were happy and they loved each other. There's no denying that. You can see it firsthand in any videos, anything you watch, interviews, videos, live performances of them back in the day. They loved each other. They couldn't have been happier. Everything goes south, and it sucks when people choose not to remember the good stuff. But I'll eventually read that book. My life has been crazy hectic since it came out, and I want to have time to sit and ingest it. I know that Mary, the drummer in the Bret Michaels band, she consumed it from the second it came out, which was something I should have done and normally would have done. I just haven't had a chance yet. But that's that, Dave. If that's what you were talking about with talking about Van Halen, that's why you weren't going to buy it. I see that it says that right there. So. Uh, Amy, wait, I'm trying to catch up. There has to be a different way to do this chat stuff. Like, I'm gonna get those augmented glasses so I can see the chat. I feel like it's so rude just looking down, but that's how to communicate with you guys. Yeah, the Van Halen 3 album wasn't my favorite thing. Running a convenience store, I can say customers sometimes make it hard to be nice. I get that. I totally get that. I'm curious what Amy must have said. Am I allowed to look down and see this? I hate going through a drive-through. I thought it would be something. Did they explain how? Which Amy are you talking to, Janet? Explain how what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But speaking of Van Halen, and if you guys follow my Facebook page and saw some of my posts about the fires and all the stuff going on, it's very emotional. To me, and it's a really weird thing because I don't feel like I have the right to be emotional since I live so far over here. But you guys know I spend an enormous amount of time uh, at, with Brett out in his area, which is right there. Um, I'm not going to say exactly which neighborhood he lives in, but he lives uh, in the Calabasas area, let's just say. And so they're showing these things on TV that I know where they are. They're places I know, and the stuff on Malibu. I drive up and down that Pacific Coast Highway. If I'm at Brett's house for 5 days, I drive up and down that highway 10 times, twice a day. Just take a ride, just take a look at it. Um, I see things on the TV, and it's like I'm not a California guy, but some of it's like I spent a lot of my life there, man. I live there. I eat. I eat their Taco Bell. I go to the subway and all this stuff, and there's all this historic stuff that that is going down, and I was going through some Facebook feeds, and I saw someone ask if 5150 was okay. Ed's studio that I've never actually known where Ed's studio is, but then I started to think about that. The you know, if you guys all know my new song, the opening line of the chorus is, "If you have a bucket list, better get all those things done." There's very few things on my bucket list, and very few things, but one of them is to go to 5150. Chad's been there. Chad recorded a record there. Obviously, Brett's been up there. Cece's been there tons of times. Steve Brown. A lot of my friends have been there. So it's not a mystery to me anymore. To a lot of my friends, it's just a studio that they've all been to. But to me, it's where the soundtrack to my life was made, and the greatest music in the entire. A lot, like people like to go to Sun Records, and anyone can go to Sun Records at any time. Uh, but but 5150, you can't get in there. You have to know who you have to know to get in. And at this point in my career, I know the people that could help me get there, and I just that's all I've been able to think about for the last day is I've got to get I got to get there. I have to get into 5150. It could, these fires happen all the time. This isn't the first fire that happened this year. Just 2 weeks ago, me and Brett were driving around looking at properties, and we were up where the guy from that owns South Park or made South Park, Trey Parker, lives. We were driving through his neighborhood, and it had just burnt a couple weeks ago. And it's so interesting in California how uh, one yard can be burnt to a crisp, and the next yard can be not even touched. Like the way the embers flow and pop and stuff, and it's fascinating. But yeah, so I'm worried for so many of my friends, and I think I checked up on everybody I knew, and then all of a sudden I'll think of someone else that I know out there, and then I realized that I know as many, if not more, people, and keep in touch with people that live in that line of fire than I do here in my hometown these days. It's horrifying actually. I hope they're all okay, man. Like I think I saw today. I don't know if anyone understands the because I'm such a doomsdayer and I think of such terrible things all the time. I someone said in something I was looking at that the radius and the amount of damage in square footage is larger than the atomic bombs dropped on Japan. So just think about that. The most deadly thing that's ever happened in a wartime scenario, these fires in 5 days have caused more damage than a nuclear weapon. So, and you guys know how I feel about that. So, um, yes, yeah, exactly, Amy. I'm glad Chad's not there anymore either. But Chad had to evacuate last year at one point. Chad sent me a video from his front door with fires in it. It was crazy, you know. So, um, the fires, they're on my mind nonstop. I'm having a hard time focusing and getting anything done. But you guys all know me by now. I feel like that. Anytime something post-apocalyptic happens, I get consumed by it, Um, but so I made this list of things to talk about that would just as I was thinking because I don't know how to do this, and I appreciate you guys being here while I learn to do this. The I think I explained this before. I watch all these YouTubers and I watch them have conversations, and it's more interesting to me these days, and than TV or a lot of other entertainment. And I know that from writing my books and the stuff that I've done on Facebook, the I get more people telling me that I'm a good storyteller or a good conversationalist than I get that I'm a good guitar player or a good musician, and it makes me think a lot because when I wrote both of those books, I painted these pictures of my life, but not there's not one thing that's not true in those books. But I was able to. I don't think the word is glamorized, but I was able to tell the truth in a very exciting way from just uh, everything that happened in my life is simple. It's neat. I get to play guitar with one of my childhood heroes, and I get to do some amazing things. But step by step and day by day, and both of those books tell about my stories getting to there, and somehow I was able to make those stories interesting, and or so I'm told. But so it was making me think about. I would love one day to, and maybe I'll do it with one of you guys or two of you guys, not in a full book form, but I would love to grab someone, interview them, and someone that thinks they live a boring life. You always hear about people, oh, I wish I lived your life. You're, uh, uh, Angel, I'm doing great today. Thank you. Um, a lot of people go, oh, I live a boring life. I would love to take a friend that I know, it could be anybody who thinks their life is boring, talk to them for an hour or two, maybe video record it or take some notes, and let me tell your story, and without exaggerating it, without lying, just paint the picture the way that I use words and the way that my brain hears and sees things, and see if I could make someone read a story about themselves and think that it was way more fascinating than what they thought, but still tell the entire truth. I think that would be a really interesting project. I'm sorry, I'm going to read back. Oh, Jeanette's on. I love both your books. I've said you before. You have, Jeanette. You're very kind. Jessica, thank you so much. Thank you. So I don't know. Maybe I would do that. Actually, I would love to do it with my friend Dave. Uh, I say Dave from Canada because Dunsith. I'm always afraid I'm saying his name wrong, but I would love to do it with him because every time that me and Chuck are sitting around telling stories and he's around, he seems to share. He's had similar stories and similar mishaps and similar party experiences and stuff. And I would just love to see if, you know, write a book, write a chapter about. I'd love to do it. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I'll write one book and a chat with one chapter about a bunch of my friends and see if I can turn their so-called ordinary life into something interesting. Is that something that anyone would be interested in? Like, would any of you guys want that to happen for you? Would you sit down to talk to me to do that? Dave says it's a cool idea. You know, the way I see life, obviously, you guys know I see it differently than most people, and I paint a different picture. So I think that's something that hasn't been done before. Uh, as an artist, it's interesting leeway or something to segue into. As an artist, you want to do something that's never been done before. And so I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and all of a sudden I think that maybe we just came up with something together that has never been done before. Maybe this is going to be a new art or a new trend. So Benny, but Benny, I could write about you too. I don't even have to interview you. I could write about you already. I there's a lot of you. I think I could. So maybe I'll get on that. There's a lot of airplane time that I could do stuff like that. What's Amy say? You can be a great conversationalist and not be able to write a book. Everybody thinks they want to or could write a book, but very few would actually end up. Amy, I don't know that that's true. I do believe that anybody can do it. I believe that if I think a lot of people really want to write a book, whether it's fiction or autobiographical, how you say that, but it takes a lot of energy. After I wrote the first one, I had never been more excited in my life, and also swore I would never do it again. It took a long time to write that first one. You have to commit that. You have to commit to writing that book, and the second one I did a lot better because I had some help, with that. By the way, not that I'm always asking you guys to do things. It's interesting. I'm so proud of MTV Famous, and I think it's better than the first book. Um, but and we've sold a lot of books, but there's not a ton of Amazon reviews compared to the Moments That Make Us. If any of you guys have read MTV Famous and haven't left a review on Amazon, I'd really appreciate it. The number of books sold versus the number of reviews is a little strange to me. And I know that when the first book came out, I bugged everybody, and I was and the second book came out, and maybe I just thought it was just going to happen naturally or organically. But I'm super proud of that book, and the stories in it. And so if you guys have bought it and read it, even if you bought it, I think a lot of the problem is I sold more of those books on tour. I never sold The Moments That Make Us on tour, and so I've sold numerous amount of copies of that book not from Amazon. So maybe people don't think about giving a review since they bought it like that. But if you did buy it, even if you just bought it from me, the internet, or at a show, I just if you guys could give it a review on Amazon, that kind of stuff really, really, really helps. So what else do we have? Oh, so moving on, and again, it's hard to follow all this stuff. I'm learning. I'm going to tell my story one day. You ought to, Mara. You ought to. I have the book. I had to sit down and read it. I need to get them into retroactive. You do, Amy. By the way, if you guys don't know, my friend Amy Leonard, obviously anybody that comes to the Evick shows or knows what my whole thing has been for the last 10 years is the music isn't about the music anymore. It's about community. It's about family. It's about what we've all become together. And Amy has become really one of the greatest friends I've had in a long time. But she owns a store in Myrtle Beach, not where my store is in the other big shopping center, Broadway at the beach. But she owns Retroactive, which she puts concerts on. She has people in for meet and greets. But it's the fucking coolest thing in the world. It's a pop culture store all based on the 80s stuff. And Amy, how long have you been open now? I forget, but if you guys are ever in Myrtle Beach, just go check it out, man. You can't get enough of it. She has every T-shirt you could ever dream of, and all the pop heads, whatever those things are called, and all kinds of cool stuff. But she's a great businesswoman, huge supporter of live music, and helps everyone she can. So if you're ever in Myrtle Beach, check her out. There you 20 years. Holy crap. 20 years. That's a lot of time. So I back and forth, and I'm trying to include everybody, but I keep thinking of all the things. Oh, Eric DeVries on, buddy. What are you doing, man? Eric's a good friend of mine from a long, 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 long time ago. Um, so we're talking about the Hiroshima bombs and the devastation in California, and I think that most of you guys know that you know, I'm a doomsdayer, and I always talk about the end of the world, and I talk about all the horrors that I've lived through with my experiences in my life, and the psychology. And I was talking to my good friend Tim Baldwin a couple weeks ago, and I'm not gonna say, oh, how is your bare knuckle bourbon? I love it. I think everyone that has ever had it says it's good. Thank you for asking. Um, so I saw my friend Tim Baldwin the other day, and uh, he's a man of faith. He believes 100%. He's a diehard Christian, diehard uh, right wing guy, all the way and he believes it, and his heart is true. He's sincere. He's not an extremist. He is an extremist, but he's one of the best people you ever meet, and he's always trying to help me not be so upset. He's a wonderful guy. But we have completely different versions of faith, and we've talked about it several times. But uh, but also, no matter how many times I tell him what I believe, he still. I always say, I believe what I believe, Tim. You believe what you believe. One of us is wrong. Maybe both of us are wrong. He's very stubborn. He's right no matter what. And the one thing that bothers me with when I get in any religious debate with anyone is I'm willing to say maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe everything you say is right. He won't do that. He won't give me the benefit of a doubt. But anyway, he had said to me, "You're always scared because you don't have faith in God. Is why you're always afraid of the end of the world." Uh, which I had to explain to him, and it occurred to me that this is going to sound ridiculous, uh, but anyone that knows me close to my heart knows 100% to be true, that I'm not afraid at all. The problem is I want to be there. Uh, I want to live through it. I'm not afraid that bomb's going to drop and I'm going to die. I want to live through it. And like just last night, I was watching Furioso. I'm not a Mad Max guy. I love post-apocalyptic stuff, but I'm just not a Mad Max guy. And I forced myself to watch it. It was actually a great movie. But I crave to see that post-apocalyptic world. I want to be the last man standing. I often talk about uh, that movie in the '80s that devastated me. It was called The Day After, and at the day after, at the end of that movie, there was a nuclear devastation, and this guy, and the last scene is a guy or a girl handing each other an apple, and I want to be that. Like I don't. I guess I don't want radiation poisoning, and I don't, but all my life I've wanted to live through it and see the devastation. I'm not afraid of the end of the world at all. I just, if it's coming, let's have and it's funny you say the end of the world. Nothing's the end of the world. The only thing that's the end of the world is if we get sucked into the sun, or there is a Death Star that blows us up like Alderaan. But the end of our civilization, and I crave to survive it, and just I'm such a sci-fi guy that I've seen Hollywood's versions of all of this, whether it's Tatooine or the Mad Max stuff or anything, and I just crave to see it. It's ridiculous, and so I don't know. Again, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that kind of stuff. Does anybody other than me ever dream about living through that, wondering what it would be like to have to survive through the nuclear winter and all that kind of stuff? I mean, obviously you don't survive through it because the radiation poisoning, but in a Hollywood movie you do. So we can't fear what will happen. We just want to know what everyone responds to. The day after messed a lot of people up. Janet, I didn't know you ever saw that. That's funny. I see Janet all the time. If I'm home, I'm in the shop with her, and we never talk about that. So, but yeah, that stuff. That's where it at. I'm not afraid of the end of the world, but I'm fascinated by it. I went to see the end. There you go, Maura. Grease is my favorite movie. Grease is the word. I hear you, Benny. I hear you. But what is everyone else like? Is everyone just hang out at home Saturday night? What were you doing before you guys tuned in here? Have you watched The Walking Dead? Jessica, I don't watch the zombie movies. I've watched a couple things. I don't know why the zombie thing doesn't fascinate me. But I did watch a YouTube special about a part of Philadelphia last night where it is so they're doing some drug that turns you look like a zombie. I should find the link and post it, where these people are walking down the street on this drug and they just looks like the Walking Dead stuff, and they call it Zombie Strip or something like that. It's some district in Philadelphia. It was one of the most fascinating things I'd ever seen. Just put the kids to bed, John Jacobs. Selena is my favorite movie. You guys, we talk about Star Wars here. No, I'm just kidding. That's what you guys all know. That's my favorite movie. So, for those of you guys that watched the first time I did this, I talked mostly about the candle stuff, and everyone's been really accepting to it. And I'm the more like today, Janet will see when she gets in on Monday. Today, I was able to make a Shining Soul has never been able to have a $10 price point. When you're in business, you want to have price point products for everyone. And I've always wanted to have a little $10 something or a candle. And the wood wicks don't let you make a smaller candle. You can't do it. And now that I've switched these cotton wicks, I was able to make this little 4-ounce candle. I tested it. It burned almost 16 hours. And so 16 hours for 3 ounces at a $10 price point is a great product, and the jar is really, really cool. It's one of the little tiny Sonoma jars, and I got really excited after talking to all you guys and the support and hearing how interested people were in Shining Soul, because after 12 years of doing that, I thought the story had gotten a little old to me, and now there's this rebirth in it that I'm excited about. But I was really, I was down there today making a bunch of new products that I can't wait to show everyone. We introduced the Sonoma jars online just today, and they're so cool. And this was stuff I wasn't able to do with the wood wicks. I had to strictly, the science of getting the wood wicks to work in the 2 jars that we had sold was so expensive, so time consuming, and so exhausting that I never wanted to stray from the 2 diameter jars that I had. I knew they worked, and I just always wanted to choose anything that would. Our large jar has a 4-inch opening, and our medium jar that we called it had a 3-inch opening, and then the tins that we would make had a 3-inch opening. So as long as the diameter is the same, the wicks work. But I'd always see all these cool vessels, and I'd always hear people ask, "You got a little small something?" And I just couldn't do it. And so now I'm super excited that I can play around with a bigger canvas now. I'm sad about the wood wicks. Today I was in the store actually working in the store, and I did a make your own event with um, three young ladies came in to do a make your own. They'd never done the make your own before, and but they'd been in the store and they'd always gotten candles as gifts, um, and I gave them the choice. It was the first time that I'd said, because I do have some of the wood wicks left, and I said, if you guys are making your own candle, would you like a wood wick or would you like a cotton wick? And my heart was kind of pounding. I'm like, part of me was like, please say cotton wick. So this would be a sign that I didn't do the wrong thing. And they chose the wood wick. So I thought about that, and I'm gonna find a way to incorporate the wood wick. I think I might do a uh, start some kind of private subscription club to the people that have been with me for 10 years. I'm find a way to funnel the Woodwick users as a VIP and continue to do that for the people that want that specifically. Uh, I've been thinking about that all day. But as far as switching to the cotton wick, man, today I was an artist again, and I was making cool stuff, and it set me free, and I thought that was exciting. And yeah, the amber color jar, Jeanette, is I love it. I love it. Oh, look at Janet talking $10. Janet, by the way, Janet sits in the shop and prices out all our supplies, and like just argues with me about what we charge and all this stuff, and she's just trying to make the company do better and trying to make money for the company. But it's like there's a rule of how you price things in retail, from manufacturing to the product to the wholesale price. There's a math to it, and it's like she just doesn't want to believe me. She just wants to make up her own new rules, and maybe that's trailblazing. Maybe that's what you do. But at the end of the day, she's really looking for trying to help the company. So I love her for that. I love the ambience of the woodwick and the crackling. Can't wait to bring Ethan back to make your own with cotton wicks. Thank you, Susan. Be a rebel. I know you're such a rebel, Janet. TL at work with psychiatric unit and watching. I stopped playing Jedi Survivors to watch. All right, Matthew. Did you really stop? Your dad? Is that your dad or is that you? Matthew, by the way, is the. I don't know if it's his dad or him that's talking. I assume it's him. Matthew's the young kid that played the drums to "Ain't Talking About Love" the other night. And if you guys were at the show and saw that, give him credit, man. He rocked it out, especially completely sober, while a ton of us were hammered drunk. So, what was some of the other things that I was going to bring up? Let's see. Wow, that was quick. I feel like I've talked about almost everything. The why I'm home on a Saturday. I don't know why I would have said that. Why would I'm home on a Saturday? Because we don't have any gigs, and I didn't book any gigs, but um, but it feels weird. No matter what you do, if you're in the music business, if you're home on a weekend, even if you know you're gonna be home for months, that weekend it just feels awkward. So I feel like maybe I substituted this for a gig. Maybe I had to do this because this is my gig uh, today. So thank you guys all for attending. I appreciate coming to the gig. Um, but next week we start the shows up again. Me and Chad and Dean, and it's the acoustic rock show. We've added a few new songs, and if any of you guys are watching this that are in the Maryland area or the Virginia area, we're going back to the Ram's Head, which is a super prestigious thing to do. For the gig that we do, the Ram's Head, and if you're from this area and you know the Birchmere, that those two places are where people like Mark Kahn, the guy that does Walking in Memphis, that I love so much, they play these rooms. Sean Mullins, I don't know if you guys know, Sean Mullins is I love him as much as I love Van Halen and Bon Jovi. There's a whole array of acoustic artists that like I'm almost bipolar. There's Van Halen and there's Poison and there's Bon Jovi and there's Warrant and then there is Edwin McCain and Sean Mullins and Mark Cohen and I love them all just as much and get the same energy from two completely different styles of music. But but February 5th we're at the Rams Head Live in Annapolis, which is a Wednesday night in February. Uh, and they chose to do that. They have live music every night. They're not just a Friday and Saturday night bar. But I'm telling you guys, if you're in the area, if you know anyone in the area, uh, that's a career mover and a career changer playing that room. And they let us play it once, and we did great on a Sunday night. Um, if you know anyone that wants to go, man, send them online to buy tickets at ramsheadonstage.com. And I know it's Wednesday, it's cold, but I'm not too proud to beg, man. I need people in that room. And if you've seen the acoustic show with me and Chad and Dean, it's I think it's great. I'm proud of it. I love it. You know. Plus, we're playing all over. If you, I posted on my Facebook today, tons of dates all over Florida. And next week we're coming to. We start next week in Green Bay. Then we go to Green Bay, Chicago, St. Louis, and Cedar Rapids. All wonderful, warm places to play in January. You know. So, and then from there we go to Detroit. Then we go to Florida. We go to Jersey. We're gonna have some Buffalo dates and upstate New York dates, and then um all kinds of different things. So I highly recommend the acoustic show. Thank you very much, Kathy. Jeanette, that's like me in Lincoln Park. Totally different than my norm. Right, right. Bring Evick back to Roanoke. Crystal, I would love to. Uh, Gosh, do you remember we used to play down there all the time? Evick used to play, we played several rooms down there, but I think that the last one that we played a bunch of times was the Corn Beef and Company. It sounded good in that room. We always it sounded good. I loved it down there. So I would love to get back down there somehow. Um, what else is there? Dunsmith said we should talk about Star Wars. I don't know how many of Star Wars fans are out there, but I would say this about the Skeleton Crew. If there's anyone watching that, I wanted to say about the Skeleton Crew. If you're a Star Wars fan, it was the first time in my life that I did not care. Did not anticipate it. I didn't. Um, Everyone said it was like the Goonies and E.T. and I just didn't care. And if you know, Star Wars fans hate everything. Like they can't do anything right. Everyone hates everything. So I think everyone just assumed that this show was going to be terrible too. I love it all, but I'm just saying. And but I have no expectations, and I couldn't care less. And I'm glued to it. It's amazing. It's one of the best pieces of Star Wars work there is, and it's funny what you think might happen versus what'll happen, and it's if any of you guys are Star Wars fans and haven't started watching the Skeleton Crew yet, I promise you it's better than everything except for Ahsoka. For the Star Wars fans, I'm covering all kinds of ground here. What's your favorite thing to do when you're home, not work related? Amy asked. Amy, I'm one of those guys that has a problem. Like I was just discussing. Now this is like a gig now, right? Uh, Anyone that knows me knows that there's no relaxing. Uh, my favorite thing to do, I guess, is work or create. Um, I, t- I managed to turn my hobbies into businesses, I guess. You know, um, the candle thing started completely out of, um, it was a hobby. It was just something, the story I've told a million times. I'm not going to tell it again on here, but it was just something that I needed to do that didn't have to do with guitar. I'd never played music. I'd never done anything but played music in my life. No hobbies, no sports, no anything. I started making candles. And a couple weeks into making candles, I started thinking about how I could make a business out of it. So maybe I enjoy business. Um, and then with the Virginia Sauce and Spice Company, which is something that I just uh, you know again like art with the Evick number 4 sauce. Um, all I ever dreamed about was creating something that no one had ever tasted before. I wanted something, everybody makes a barbecue sauce or everybody makes a dry rub. And I know we have dry rubs too and different things, but, everyone makes this or that. And I didn't want to be able to even say this is a barbecue sauce or this is a hot sauce. The closest thing it is, if you guys have tasted it, it's close to a Caribbean jerk sauce, but it's nothing like that at all. It's nothing like that at all. And it was something that I made for about 10 years in my own home when I would have guests over, and it was a marinade for shrimp. Um, and then I got Clark to partner with me in this company because I just thought, how hard is it to get into this? Well, let me tell you something. It's fucking impossible to to break into the food industry. It's just you can't make a dent. Um, our product sells well to everyone that tastes it, but getting the word out there and actually breaking a new condiment, so to speak. How do you how do you go up against mustard and ketchup and barbecue sauce? How do you do that? It's a once in 10, 20 year thing that, jerk sauce got really, really popular, but it always been around. But how do you make something new? Sriracha got really, really, really popular, but it's incredibly hard and to do. But I turned that into a business. That was just a hobby. So again, the question was, what do I do at home? Uh, I find things to do. I'm fascinated by this the YouTubing thing and doing this, and I want to continue this. I watch these YouTubers, and it's weird because I don't want to. Like I said earlier, I don't want to call myself a YouTuber, but here I am, and I love it. I hope everyone has fun while we're doing this, but um, there's a whole world of I like, man, I watch. I don't know how does it. Do you guys all watch YouTube? Like, again, like, this is dumb, but like, if you guys like search YouTube and watch crazy stuff, just hit a one. Let me see if any of you guys that are all of your hobbies are awesome. Thank you, Terry, coming from Alaska. Uh, um, if you guys search YouTube and watch crazy stuff, hit a one for me. I'd love to know. But uh, I watch these people and they do all this stuff that I want to do too. Like like today I'm watching. There's these people that travel through Europe and they start with one penny and they try to make their way all the way across Europe, starting with 1 cent. And I was fascinated. I was like, how the fuck are they gonna do this? How's and with the guy, and I would have never thought about it, but now I think about it, this guy, um, this guy found, I guess, over in Europe, you can go to these grocery stores and you literally put your plastic bottles in and it gives you like 15 cents. The same bottle can return like we've had in the United States our whole life. And but this guy went around for like 3 hours and he was in Amsterdam. That's right, I remember this now. He was in Amsterdam and he gathered up all these bottles and he went to the grocery store with 2 bags of bottles, and then he got some money. And then he took that money and he went to the grocery store and he bought food, and he got smart. He kept saying, if I, everybody's high in Amsterdam all the time. They sit in the parks and they smoke weed, and the coffee shops where you smoke weed and all this stuff. He goes, and when you're high, you get hungry, and if you're hungry, you want your food. So he took the money he got from the bottles. He went and bought a bunch of chicken, and he made these chicken skewers, and then right there he went to where he thought people were getting high, and he started cooking them, grilling them, and then he sold them to those people. The first two people bought all his skewers, and then he had a bunch of money and was able to start his process across Europe. It's fascinating to me. Like, I want to, like I'm telling you guys, I, the day's gonna come where I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna drop everything. I'm gonna shake Brett's hand. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna hand the keys to Shining Soul to Janet, and I'm just gonna disappear. And I'm gonna take on the world like this, man. Like, off the grid. Like, I don't know if this is something you guys really understand about me or know about me, but I want that so bad. I want to just disappear, but not. Because people do these YouTube things. This is what I want to do, though. I want the van. Like, right now, I want to get rid of everything I have, and I want to live in one of those Sprinter vans and drive around and just document it, but somehow make it interesting. And I think maybe I can do that, but I don't know. But man, I want to do that so bad, you know. And you just got to find a new way to do it, and you know. So that's why I'm trying to build this. And by the way, if there's anyone here that's watching that has, I hate to do this too. This is the other thing that bothers me. If you're doing YouTubes, but you have to do it, is if you haven't subscribed or liked the page yet, please do both of those, please. That's what helps these algorithms. It helps this thing grow. And I'm trying to turn this into something. I don't know what it's going to become eventually. Maybe Joe Rogan thing. By the way, did any of you guys, did you see Joe Rogan and Zuckerberg? Has anyone watched that by any chance? Find a need, fill a need. Right? What's from robots, right, Dave? I feel like we've talked about that before. I hear you, Janet. Janet needs an RV. Um, so, what was I just saying? Like, if you guys can help me, Shark Tank, right? I was saying something, and then I was derailed uh, by something Dunstan said. The key to business fine. Just about me. Oh! I was talking about Zuckerberg and on Rogan. Did any of you guys watch Zuckerberg and Rogan at all? So, uh, I go back and forth with Zuckerberg, man. I love watching Joe, uh, but so Zuckerberg is backing off on the fact checking now. Very curious, right? It's it's very curious. I promise that I try not to get political in this thing. I'm going to try my hardest not to. This isn't political, but this is what appears to be a jumping sides to a guy that basically, I think when the day Trump found out he was going to be the president, he said his first act is taking free speech back. Like more than anything, he had a video playing or something like this, and he was going to play a video and free speech. And uh, I don't know what I would have to believe that. I got to be careful what the fuck I'm about to say. All I know is even the strongest of the strong that were against him have apologized to him and are about to do his things and do it his way. Um, you know, uh, it's fascinating. I would give anything to know what threat is being made behind our backs, good or bad. It's not whether you support Donald Trump or hate Donald Trump. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's something we don't know that he has said or done or put in motion that some of his arch enemies that did everything they could to defeat him are basically on his side now. And I would give anything to know what that is. What he's doing, what kind of yeah, I'm not trying to go political. This is, you guys all know that I'm a small business guy. I understand capitalism. I believe in a lot of right wing things. Um, I don't want anyone to ever, if you, I don't want you to take my guns away. Uh, but I've met that guy. I've spent a lot of time with Donald Trump. Not a lot. I've not spent a lot of time with Donald Trump. I've spent more time than the average person with Donald Trump, and we're not. We didn't walk away buddies. so, you know, um, so again, it's. I just want to know what's happening. It's not about taking sides. I just want to know what would have caused Zuckerberg to pull his fact checking and now go to community notes. Uh, small biz converted to live simple is my goal. There you go. Yeah, it's it. I see you, Benny. You're from Texas. We know. I watch WWE wrestling. Yep, that's what my son and I were talking about. What else do we have? Did not watch it, but my son told me about it. Yeah. It was interesting too. Is uh, Rogan's talking about MMA before MMA was big, and he brings up Ricky Rocket, and he says Ricky's name like he just assumes Zuckerberg knows who Rocket is, and Zuckerberg has no idea who he is, and then Rogan's like, from Poison, and he goes on to talk about him being a black belt and all that stuff, and so to me that was interesting that he brought that up. You don't have to like someone to respect what they do. I get it. I get it. And what is the GER for? I shouldn't have even said the guy's name. It sparks debate, and that I knew I wasn't going to do it. I was talking about Zuckerberg, and I just want to know, and I apologize if I've upset anybody about anything. I just whatever's best for the country, and that's what that's what matters. So I guess we move on. What are we going to move on to about? Somebody bring up the next topic. My friend Terry lives in Alaska, and when we played in Alaska, she invited me and Jana and Kendall to her house after the show, and what a beautiful landscape if you guys have ever been to Alaska. But her land is where we got to see the moose, whatever it is. I hadn't seen the moose the couple days we were there until we were driving up to her house. Man, those things are big. If you've never seen that, that's crazy. She has all kinds of videos of bear on her property and stuff like that. I didn't get to see a bear. I actually left Alaska furious. I got to see Sarah Palin, but I didn't get to see a bear. I wanted to see the fucking bear. Yeah, Stephanie, strange things. Pete, if you ever come back to Midland, Texas, I'll take you on an oil field tour. I would love that, brother. I would love to do all those things. I just want to taste the air everywhere. And I say that I've been around the world and I've done all these things. I always use the comment that I slept in Saddam Hussein's palace, which is 100% true, and one of the strangest things in the world you could ever do. I mean, he'd already been captured, and it was occupied by the U.S. military, but we performed in that palace, and we slept there, and that that's something fascinating that I get to bring that up, and that's like a trump card. If in storytelling, I don't have a lot of people that if we're trying to one up each other, I can usually win the debate right there. But there's so many other things, man, that I just want to do and see. How about the auroras up there? Oh, what's interesting is the first time I ever saw the Northern Lights was in Detroit. And I feel like everyone thinks that's weird to see them in Detroit, but we were driving a tour bus in the middle of the night between Detroit and is it Sault Ste. Marie? No. Some place up north of Detroit, and there they were, just out the bus window. They were there, and when you don't expect to see them and you're not looking for them, and they're there all of a sudden, it takes you a minute to understand what you're seeing. And but yeah, the Northern Lights and the auroras and all that stuff is fascinating. The more north you get in Alaska, I guess you can't get any more north than that at all. So Terry actually, I brought Terry up living in Alaska because Terry actually lives in Alaska, where the guy that I think that the reason I got hooked on YouTube was this guy. And if you're from Manassas or you live in this area, I don't know if you guys know this. A lot of you do, a lot of you don't. There's what's his name, Terry? His real name? Terry tried to help me find him. He's one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. He has a show called The Outdoor Boys, and it's him and his kids and sometimes his wife, just like hunting and fishing and stuff that, like, I don't really care about hunting and fishing, but watching him is fascinating. And he's one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. But it turns out he lives in Alaska now. He moved his whole family to Alaska. But when he started his channel, he's lived 5 miles from me. He lives right here in Manassas, and he was a lawyer, and then the YouTube channel got so big that he stopped being a lawyer. His channel is called Outdoor Boys. If you've ever checked it out, it's you have to watch it because it's wholesome, and it's pure, and it's family oriented. But this guy looks like like you wouldn't go camping with him. You would just be like, are you fucking serious? Sit in your office and do your legal paperwork, and I'll go hit the woods. And this guy, he'll sleep out in the woods for a week, like with no tent, no hammock, no anything, out in Alaska in the snow, and he'll hunt and he'll prepare the food for him. You just got, if you've never watched it, I'm telling you to watch it. Yeah, Luke, it's Luke. Uh, just check it out. I'm sitting here promoting other people's YouTube channels while I'm trying to make my own thing happen. Well, when are you coming back to PA? Like, uh, you know, I know we're doing Grantville again as the Bret Michaels band, and we're going to do it as the opening of the season. As far as me and Chad and the acoustic band, and I don't know when when we're going to come back. I know they want us to have us back. I don't know what part of PA you're talking about, but we're we're going to get there. Me and Chad and Dean, we're going to, if Bret truly slows down like he says he's going to slow down, we're taking every advantage to bring this to the world and our acoustic show. We're also proud of it and we love it and we think it's funny and great. And we're if you'll have us, we're going to be there. Terry's going to get us into Alaska, aren't you? You're going to get us up there. Come on. What else do we have? Saw them in Oregon a few times, the Northern Lights. So, oh, there goes my phone. So I guess that's about an hour. That's what we're supposed to do. Unless I'll sit here, but I don't want to go silent unless you guys have something. Manassas so small as a kid walking to Loch Lomond. That's right. I walk to Loch Lomond every day, every single day of Wesley. I love the video that you and Britt, Sammy Hagar riding the go kart. Oh, thank you, Wesley. That was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you that we practiced it. As much as it's made to look like we just won that, we did not wing that. Me and Brett practiced that the night before and found every way possible that I could fall off of that go kart, and what to do to make sure I didn't fall off the go kart. And what a day, though! What a day in my life, if you can imagine. For as much as, what's up, Dan? How you doing, buddy? If you guys could imagine spending an entire day on one of your childhood heroes' property while your other childhood hero was there filming a TV show. I just, I've told that story a lot of times, I think, but I don't know if I've ever told it in a big setting. When you're in the music industry, you know, it's a young boy's business. It's a young guy's business, and I didn't get, at 25 I signed my first record deal, and I got to a certain level, and the level, nothing's ever good enough, And I told some of the story on the first episode. Nothing's ever good enough. We were touring, we were doing good. The band broke up. The story happens every day. It happened 100 times today. In Manassas, the band breakup. And then it was later in life that I got to go to the next level with Brett. And there's been so many times as I've gotten older that I said, let me just do this. And it'll fill the hole. It's, what's the word? Insatiable. There's an insatiable hole that you can't seem to fill. I remember the very first time. Well, I remember doing the first gig with Brett before I was in his band. I remember thinking, I just have to do this one gig, and that's it. I can say that I made it, and I will never, ever. I'll just go back to playing clubs and know that at some point I did that, and that was success. One gig. And then you do that first gig, and all you can think is that can't be it. That cannot be it. That is not. It's like drugs. It's like drugs, I guess. And that can't be it. And then you do some more gigs, and it's Wanted Dead or Alive. When I was a kid, I hated Wanted Dead or Alive. It was my least favorite Bon Jovi song, and the words are about being a rock star. And I couldn't relate to that. I didn't give a shit. I didn't love the song. And now when I hear the song, the pain in that song is so fucking real to not a rock star, but a traveling professional musician. The pain is real, and sometimes you tell the day by the bottle that you drank. Sometimes when you're alone and all you do is think, there's not a more true line ever spoke to the career that I'm in. Not and and so we got to play Jiffy Lube, which used to be called Nissan Pavilion here in Manassas, the big amphitheater where I saw Van Halen on the Balance tour. I think Van Halen was like the first or second band to ever play there, and I remember thinking, okay, I'll do that, and then I'll tell Brett I got to roll. I'm getting older. I want to be with my kids. You guys know I've battled this my entire life. And then I woke up the next morning after Jiffy Lube, and all I kept thinking was, well, what now? It's an unfillable hole over and over again, uh, and it just, I can tell you time after time. I'm gonna tell Brett I'm done. Oh no, we're gonna do this. I better stay to do this, over and over and over again. And so, and it's never enough. And all you want is that hunger to go away. There comes a time in your life where you want that hunger to go away. You want it to be your choice to walk away, not your disease. The music business is your disease. And the the itch inside of me has been tremendous my whole life. And you need that to get where you're going with it. And when we were filming that show with Sammy that day, uh, me and Sammy were sitting down on a bench, and I was playing Summer Nights with him. I was strumming Summer Nights on acoustic guitar, and he was singing it. And it was just this fucking surreal moment in my life, right? Just fucking surreal. Uh, and then Sammy turned to me and he said, "Brother, you're great. You're welcome on my stage anytime. Get up and jam if you're around. Don't let anyone ever tell you you're not awesome." He said all these wonderful things. 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and in that 15 seconds, everything changed. Every single thing had changed, and from that moment on, well, I continue to play music, and I have reasons for playing music, and I love it. I love every minute of it, but I if my arm got cut off, if I lost my throat, if something happened that it was all over, from that moment on, it's been okay. The the unfillable hole was filled just by knowing that the you know two times this happened in my life, actually. Once with Brett, once with Sammy, but uh, me and Brett were recording. This was such a big deal. Me and Brett were recording. I believe it was a song on one of our records called "Lie to Me," and I was trying to play this Van Halen solo. I love Van Halen, but I don't play like Edward. And I was trying to do something, and Brett, the studio was at Brett's house, and he trusted me. He didn't hang over my shoulder. He would say, "All right, you cut your guitar parts. I'm going to go work out." That's all Brett does, work out. We all know he just work out. Everything is just what he can do between working out. And he came back in. He's like, wasn't aggressive. But he's like, "What is taking you so long to do this?" I said, "I'm just trying to do something different than I normally do. I'm trying to kind of do this Van Halen thing." And he looked at me. He said, "If I wanted Ed to play this, I'd just call him." And I had never lived in that world before, but it was true. He knew Eddie, and even if Eddie needed to be paid for something, Brett had enough fucking money to pay it. But we all know, Eddie would come jam when someone invited him. I mean, he played on that Michael Jackson record for free. He played on the one of the biggest songs in history. He never got a dime for the most famous guitar solo in history. But I remember Brett saying, if I wanted Eddie to play on this, I call Eddie. I want you to play on it, and that was a very uplifting, positive moment in my life, and it got me. It calmed me for a long time. But then, but that day that Sammy said that, the pain went out the door, and the fear of, oh my God, I got to do more. I got to impress somebody. I gotta make sure that someone I'm approved. I got to make sure that everyone thinks that I continue to do this. And then he said that, and then it just didn't fucking matter anymore. From that moment on, life has been different, and I play that guitar and sing solely for me now. Solely for me. I don't. If it ends tomorrow, I've done the most amazing thing, and that I ever dreamed. Every dream I ever had, I finished, man, and more, and more. And then when COVID came, and then I started doing the acoustic shows again. Those are for me, man. Those are for me. I love it. I love. So anyway, that's how the music business goes. Is it's an unfillable hole, and if you can ever get to the point where that hole gets filled, it's an amazing feeling. It's peace after an entire life of not knowing peace and restlessness. Pete, is it true that you had a chance to join Buck Cherry? Where did you hear that, Benny? I've told that story a few times. We're an hour and 10 minutes, but it looks like there's 53 people listening. I'll tell the Buck Cherry story. We'll do the one trick again. Everybody hit the one if you got time to hear the Buck Cherry story. Oh, look, Ben, no one wants to hear that story. Um, but I am curious when. There's Tommy watching. What are you doing, buddy? Tommy, why are you there what are you not doing on a Saturday night? Janet, do you not know the Buck Cherry story? Everybody. Look at that. Out of nowhere, everyone wants to hear the Buck Cherry story. Okay. I thought everybody knew the Buck Cherry story, but so this is how this goes. Um, in some odd reason, it was 1998, and I had a lawyer. His name was Ronald Beanstalk, and at the time, Ronald Beanstalk was the there was a music industry magazine called BAM Magazine, and BAM Magazine uh, voted him the most influential person in the music business that year, and he was on my side. This is another one of the reasons I thought Some Odd Reason was going everywhere, and but Some Odd Reason was breaking up, and I'd said to Ron, "What the fuck am I gonna do?" And this was 1998. As much as I loved the 80s, the 80s were not popular, and I wasn't faking it, but I had found love for Matchbox 20 and Hootie and the Blowfish, Sugar Ray, Bush. Um, there was a handful of bands that I understood and loved every part of, and yeah, at the Hops Frog, I remember Susan, uh, and so who was it? Geffen Records had signed Buck Cherry. Some of this information I may get. I mean, this was so long ago, 25 years ago, right? Uh, Geffen, I think it was Geffen had signed Buck Cherry, but the 80s were so not cool. And so Geffen had said, how do we break this band? How do we create a story about this band? And they had suggested that the band move to North Carolina, and instead of being from LA, because it wasn't cool to be from LA, move to North Carolina and try to build this kind of grassroots, we're just a good old boy rock band thing. You know, Pete, do you like any of the recent bands that play 80s rock style Crash Diet, Reckless. Well, I like Gavin Evick, if that counts, Wesley. My son's band. No, I love I love everything. I love a lot of the new bands, without a doubt. Matt Yowie, what's up, buddy? How you guys doing? So where was I at? Oh, uh, so my lawyer calls and says there's this band called Buck Cherry. It tells me the story about relocating them. They have a deal with Geffen Records, and one of the guitar players doesn't want to go, doesn't want to go to North Carolina, and I live in Virginia. Are you interested? Hungry for anything, dying to get to the next level, thinking that my band is fucking falling apart. And I get on the phone, and he says, "Yeah, we're a dirty rock band, and we sound a lot like LA Guns." And in 1998, I was like, I hung up. I fucking hung up the phone. I called my lawyer back, and I said, I was just talking to a guy that says he sounds like LA Guns in 1998, and you think that that's a career move from me. I was mad. And then Bart, who was the bass player in Brett Michaels' band for a while, if you guys know, he's also the singer of Junk Food, and he was a singer for some odd reason before I was in it. Bart, my brother, he's my brother. I said, I have no interest in this. Do you want to do this? I'll give you the phone number. Fuck no, I don't want to do that. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So we're playing. Me and Bart are in a band. We're in the new version of some odd reason I managed to put together. We're in Florida or Atlanta. We're driving to Panama City, Florida. That's all I know. We're on our way to Panama City. I don't know if we're in Florida or Atlanta. This fucking song comes on the radio. It's all lit up. And for the 3.5 minutes we were listening to that song, everyone in that van was like, what the fuck is this? This is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Holy shit, rock is back. This is amazing. I can't believe this. This is it was ecstasy to our ears the first time we heard All Lit Up, first single from Buck Cherry. And then the DJ goes, that's brand new from a band called Buck Cherry. And me and Bart looked at each other it was the most silent silence there's ever been in our lives, that both of us had passed that opportunity up because the guy said LA Guns. And it didn't sound anything like LA Guns. It didn't sound anything like LA Guns. And if you are a Kiss fan, you know that All Lit Up sounds exactly like Shock Me from Kiss. It's the exact same song. And had I just said, let me hear the music, but I hung up the phone. Had I just said, send me the single, let me hear it. If I would have heard All Lit Up, I would have dropped everything I was doing in that life right then, that moment, and run to North Carolina. That's how great I thought that song was. Again, hindsight, it's fine. I don't know that I don't know what my life would have turned out with, but I have those 2 kids, and I play guitar next to the greatest frontman of all fucking time, who turned out to be my best friend. So the story ended correctly. It didn't end bad. I don't ever look back and go, I wish I did that. But at that moment when I heard All Lit Up on the radio, there was some, because I hadn't been in Brett's van yet. I was driving around in a van, so that hurt a lot. But it is what it is. And those Buck Cherry guys, it's funny, you think of them as new rock, but that was it's probably 2000 by the time we heard that song, but that's 25 years ago. Buck Cherry's first single is at least 25, if not 26 years old. Uh, you end up where you're supposed to be. That's correct, Dave. So, and we've played with those guys before, and I mentioned it to Josh, and we laugh very, very shortly. Uh, Sometimes I don't. I think the two times I spoke to him about it, one time I don't think he remembers it at all. Another time he acts like he may remember it, but what was 25 years ago to him, and he was struggling, and they were trying to tell him to move across the country or whatever. I don't even know if they ever did that because we played the. Actually, we were playing Spartanburg, Spartanburg, South Carolina once, and we saw the name Buck Cherry on the bill. So maybe they did come out there, but we'd never heard. After I had that call, I'd never heard a thing about him again until that song was on the radio. So there it is, Benny. That's the Buck Cherry story. I've had several. There's several things that have happened in my life that I could have done or maybe might have should have did, but you know, here we are, Saturday night, and I'm talking to 54 of my buddies with a Jakey Lee guitar and a Van Halen guitar behind my back and a Boba Fett. You know, everything's great, right? Everything in the world's great. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. I think we've hour and 20. I don't want to try to be the Joe Rogan 3 hour guy, but I'm grateful for you guys hanging out with me tonight and helping me learn to build this. And any suggestions you have, any comments you can leave about what I could do better and how I can make this more interesting and what would be more fun, I would love to know. And again, man, if you could just hit that subscribe button and help me get to a certain level, it would be awesome. There's Heather. What's up? Josh is a big Crew fan. We know. Josh loves Motley Crue. Everybody loves Motley Crue. Pro Vince. Happy Saturday, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening, and thank you for giving me an hour and 21 minutes of your life. I'm a lucky dude, man. I'm a lucky dude. That's all I can say. I'll see you guys later on.